The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I'm Tim Donnelly. Graham Hill producing the show. Just heard from Dennis on the Adam Gold show, so Graham Hill stepping into our producer's chair. And Jack Drury stepping back into the lineup for the Carolina Hurricanes. Breaking news just moments ago. Jack Drury, this according to Elliot Friedman, the terms at least, the agreement coming from all over the place, including NHL Network. Jack Drury and Carolina have settled on a 2-year deal. For this upcoming year, he will make $1.775 million. For the following year, the 2025-2026 season, he'll make $1.675 million for an average annual value of $1.725 million. First of all, congratulations to the team. Congratulations to Jack Drury. These negotiations are bitter, right? You don't want to be a team who really likes Jack Drury having to argue against how good Jack Drury is to Jack Drury, or at least to his representation. So getting to a deal before arbitration, that's good. This is also good for the reason of the Canes need centers so desperately. Right now you're looking at the four. We've already penciled Jack Drury in as the starter on the fourth center, but I mean, we're talking one move away from being much more important, right? Sebastian Aho is your first team center. The way I look at it right now, Jesperi Kotkaniemi's a second team center. Then you have Jordan Staal on that Staal line, right? We almost don't even call it the third line. And then the fourth line center is going to be Jack Drury, and obviously an injury or a downturn in play from Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and Jack Drury is suddenly one of the most important players on a team that has high expectations. What I look at this for Jack Drury is simple. 2-year deal, $1.725 million. It's a little bit of security. It's a lot of bit of prove it. Right? It's a little bit of, all right, now you know where you're going to be for the next 2 years. It's a lot of, we need more goals. We need more point production. We need more 40-point seasons. We need more people afraid of the second line the fourth line and what your fourth line can do to their back half of their lineup.
Really, guys that just can score in an instant.
Creation,
like just some great production.
Playmaker, right? The words that are going to get Jack Drury to the next level are production. Because here's the thing with Jack Drury, and here's what we know, right? Rod brind'amour trusts Jack Drury. In the postseason, when you only put people on the ice that you absolutely trust, he was up there at the second line, right? He was up there with the second line. So we know that Rod brind'amour trusts him to do the things that the Canes demand, right? You need to be able to back check. You need to be physical. You need to play the entire ice. Now it's about betting on yourself, taking that next chance, so by the time you get out of team control, you are desirable on the open market if that's what you choose, or you build so much value that the Canes pay you a boatload of money to stick around. From the team's perspective, this is immediately taking the Kuzi money. Right? We kind of, it started with a trickle, then the faucet opened up on news about Evgeny Kuznetsov wanting to terminate his contract and head to Russia, his home country, for a 4-year deal with SKA St. Petersburg. That became official today, which means $3.9 million in cap space this upcoming year for the Canes. I don't think the timing of those two pieces of news are coincidental. Right about noon today, you get the $3.9 million expected back on the cap. Right about 3 o'clock today, just moments ago, you hear the news of Jack Drury. I think like an unexpected tiny bit of cash after you've negotiated hard, I think that's a great way to get deals done. Right, because Jack Drury and the team, or Jack Drury's representatives, I keep saying Jack Drury. Obviously, you're dealing with agents. The agents and the team, they've been going at it, right? There's arbitration knocking on their door in just a couple days, right? They've been going at it, and it probably felt like each had moved as far as they possibly could. And then this Evgeny Kuznetsov situation happens, and maybe the team was able to add $200,000, right? And Jack Drury in his camp, perfect, right? Just that little bit of movement makes you feel like you won, makes you feel like you've gotten what you've asked for. Can you do that for Seth Jarvis? Can you do that, more importantly, with a little bit more of a ticking clock? Not more importantly, but with a little bit more of a ticking clock with Martin Necas. Because Martin Necas also has arbitration staring at you in the face.
Which is approaching this weekend.
Which is, yes, like...
So expect more Carolina Hurricanes news, folks.
It's to the point now where they're probably not even counting in days, they're counting in hours. If Evgeny Kuznetsov's decision to terminate his contract with the Canes and go play in Russia leads to Seth Jarvis, Martin Necas, and Jack Drury being happy, paid appropriately, and on the team all in, well, then I think you look around and you go, thank you, Evgeny Kuznetsov, for sacrificing that $6 million to help make it happen, right? Then he became the catalyst, or at least the aid towards getting those deals done. Now Jack Drury, and here's where the Canes have been so good in the past, okay? And here's where Jack Drury has to make good on it. If you look at the Brett Pesce's, right? If you look at some of these guys, the Teuvo Teravainens, they've come in on certain expectations, and for the better part, like overall, on average, they've played above what they're making, right? The players that go get deals elsewhere oftentimes make more per year in their next contract after being on the Canes than they were when they were on the Canes, which means they were overperforming their contract. Right, I just talked to Dennis on the little turnover, right? Dennis was leaving the studio. I was coming into the studio, and he, just like I did, got this news about 2 minutes before, and he said he was expecting 2 years, $2 million apiece for Jack Drury. Well, I hope Jack Drury plays like a $3 million player, right? I hope he plays like a $4 million player. That's where the Canes need to find their value, right? Because they had to move on from Pesce and Shea and all of these for money. They had to move on from Nason, and they had to move on from Teuvo, and they had to move on from Gensel for money. The way you get that value back is by guys playing above their contract, and I think Jack Drury has the ability to play over the level of a $1.725 million per year player. I really like Jack Drury. I like the experience he's gained early in his career. Right? I like his comfort level. I like some of the big plays he makes. I think he is one of the guys that can provide value, right? Get $3 million a year worth of value from a $1.725 million player. That's how you become one of the best rosters in the NHL. The other thing it does is it gives you a little bit of comfort in the center position, as I started this with. I like the defense. We've mentioned it a bunch of times. If you throw Necas on the wing and he plays up to his level, I'm less terrified of what's going on in the wing. It's the center where I think the depth is a little lacking, which made Jack Drury so powerful, right? His leverage became so much more because he is so vital to what the Canes have going on.
And I know you said that, looking at it on paper, Jack Drury will probably center the fourth line for the Carolina Hurricanes.
That's where I expect him to start.
That's where you're expecting him to start. Tim, I'll be honest with you. With what I've seen out of Jack Drury in his past 3 seasons with the Carolina Hurricanes, it wouldn't surprise me if he even got bumped up to center in the third line maybe.
Well, the stall line, I almost don't even, like, that's its own category.
It won't be
right?
touched.
It's just they have a different role, right? They're grinding the other team's best forwards to a pulp.
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly. And he'll be paired probably with maybe a Martinook and perhaps a Carrier or something along those lines, maybe Roslovic. But that line, I think, is just different. So I look at, like, there's 3 scoring lines, which is probably an unfair way to describe it, and then there's the stall line. I think Jack Drury will be the center on the third of the scoring lines, with stall line being its own beast. But either way, Jack Drury's role is important, and he is now ahead of arbitration, which is always nice, connected to the Canes for 2 more years. And there's still some more team control options after that. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. The breaking news, if you're just tuning in, Jack Drury, 2 years, Average annual value $1.75 million with the Canes. He'll stick around, as we just said. I expect center the fourth line for the Canes as they enter into a season of a little bit of a retooling